How we doing, my people? How we doing? Welcome to El Boricua El Parcero Podcast episode 70. Thank you for all the support. I'm starting with my voice now. We're going to get into everything, but I just wanted to start with my voice and then hit you with the intro.
El exec, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, people? How we doing? I am stuttering here. I hope you heard the intro, and it's also the outro. But we're back, episode 70. Got a lot of stuff to cover today. Last picks of the year as it pertains to regular season for football. Got to talk about the MVP, how this is a weird year when it comes to quarterbacks and should a quarterback win it. And I was talking to my dad, and he has an idea on how to fix it and kind of taking a page out of baseball that I think is very interesting, a very interesting angle to look at the awards wise. We'll talk about a little bit about the NBA, a little bit about NBA. The Heat beat the Lakers yesterday in LA. Love that. Jaime playing good ball. No Jimmy, still winning. Love it. OKC stumbled last night after winning a lot, but they're tired. They were on a road trip, so I don't blame them for that. They're still second in the West. The Timberwolves lost against Zion Williamson. He scored 27 on good efficiency. Ant has scored 30 in 4 straight games. That ties the Kevin Garnett's franchise record for most consecutive 30-point games, which is crazy. Only 4 in the history of that franchise. Which also tells you, franchise probably doesn't have a lot of stars in their history that produced at that level. But what we're going to start with is, I also have my picks for the NCAA championship. That's on Monday as well. The championship game between Michigan and Washington. Something I wanted to get out of the air is, some people blame coaches for inadequacies, and in the case of or like bad play during the season and stuff like that. Now that we're getting to the end, Black Monday is essentially next Monday. After all the games are done and people start getting fired, and we are, guessing, but kind of predicting that Ron Rivera gets fired, and Carolina possibly goes after a big head coach. The Saints could fire their coach. Supposedly Arthur Smith is still good to go, and so is Matt Eberflus with the Chicago Bears. I don't know about that. I think it's my time to shift perspective and voice after the last few years. But Black Monday will show us what are the vacancies and how many names are in the pot in order to fill those vacancies. But AJ Brown, said in an interview, a press interview in front of his locker, that he said, all these media people talking about, the coaches, and the coaches haven't played a snap this year on the field. It's the players, stop saying it's the coaches. It's us. And I appreciate the transparency. But also at the same time, it's you would think that you would take ownership of that, as in on the field, and more on the defensive side. The offense has sputtered and struggled this year, and Jalen Hurts has definitely turned over the ball more and stuff like that. But at the same time, the problem with this Eagles team that has surfaced this year is they're not getting the same amount of pressure on the quarterback that they did last year. And when you think about the names that are still there, everybody's still there besides Javon Hargrave. And then they drafted Nolan Smith and they drafted Jalen Carter. They still have Fletcher Cox, still have Brandon Graham. I believe I said this last pod that they had everybody, but they're just not getting to the quarterback. And because they're not getting to the quarterback, they also have injuries in the back end. And not only injuries, they lost good players on the back end. They lost CJ GJ. They lost Epps. You know, Darius Slay has been hurt. Bradbury has faltered to some extent. Avonte Maddox has been in and out. Blankenship's been in and out. You know, so it's kind of tough to, build a defense and be consistent on the defensive side of the ball, especially over the top when you constantly have moving and changing parts. But that's the job of the players, to adapt and to keep coming with a competitive edge, such as a team as the Eagles that, should, make it to the same place they were last year, because it's basically the same team. It's a more experienced team. You got AJ another year in there with Jalen Hurts. You got Devontae in his third year. Like, you have DeAndre Swift has been running well. DeAndre Swift is the fourth leading rusher in the league. Now, granted, to this year's numbers overall, when you look at every position, they're kind of down. Kind of all across the board. Tua leading the league in passing at 4,451. So we don't have a 5,000 yard rusher, a 5,000 yard passer. For the first time, I think in a long time, I think we've always had at least one, if not Mahomes or Brady that one year. But somebody closer to 5,000, I would have expected, especially in the offensive explosion era that we are now. But the defenses this year have clamped down. Even in the rushing side, there's no 1,600 yard rusher. You got Christian at 1,459, and he's not even playing on Sunday, so that's what he's going to end up with. Then Kyron Williams at 1,144, James Cook at 1,086, DeAndre Swift at 1,049, and Derrick Henry made it over 1,000 yards again by 14 yards, 1,014. Like, nobody has gone above and beyond, when it comes to counting stats. And then even in receiving, we go Tyreek Hill at 1,717. CDs at 1,651. Like, those are good seasons, but Tyreek in the 1,700s, like being the only wide receiver to ever do that in multiple seasons, that's impressive. But usually, guys, there's two people above 1,500. AJ's at 1,447. Puka's at 1,445. Amon-Ra St. Brown is 1,371. We're not seeing at least in this year, the offensive explosion that we've seen in other years. And I think that's evident in the fact that some of these defenses are really good. Cleveland has been the number one defense all throughout total defense, number one. You could say about the Ravens, you could say about the 49ers, but number one total defense in yards, points, and everything has been the Cleveland Browns throughout the season. And, it's kind of tough evaluating the MVP ladder, because, if we think about the names that are on the MVP ladder or have circumvented that MVP ladder throughout the season, of course, you have Lamar probably going to win it. You have CMC as a non-QB, because of a 2,000 yard from scrimmage season, which shout out CMC. Shout out CMC, another 2,000 yard from scrimmage season. Tyreek was in there, but we kind of started laughing at Tyreek a little bit when he missed the game, and then the other game he got 65 yards when he hurt his ankle, and it was 2,000 was unattainable. I believe that was his win condition. His win condition was make it scary, make the conversation scary and very much in your favor, and have everybody shaking in their boots if you got to 2,000. If you broke the record, you still had a conversation, but it was still kind of it's tough. It's tough because the last 15 years has been a quarterback award. But me and my dad were discussing this yesterday, and we were thinking, how about not make a Cy Young award, just like the baseball has? because the pitchers have the ball in their hands the whole game. So how about you make a Tom Brady award, for the best quarterback, and then you still have MVP. So like this year, when not any one quarterback's stats go above and beyond, because me and my dad looked at this very in depth yesterday, and even when you look at Lamar's actual, Lamar's MVP season in 2019, this year doesn't even compare. 2019, you're talking about a guy that went for 3,127 yards on 67% completion percentage, 36 touchdowns and 6 picks. And then this year he has more yards. Like he went for 3,678 on 67.2 higher completion percentage, but he's 24 and 7. 24 touchdowns? So Baker Mayfield's rookie season, that's what we're doing? Not even, because I think he got 27. So and he's not playing either. So that's his numbers. That's it. And then rushing, I'm talking about 2019. He went 1,206, 6.9 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns. This year he's 821, 5.5, 5 touchdowns. Even when you look at Lamar with the performances and all that, over the last few weeks, it just doesn't scream MVP numbers wise. Now, what he's doing, absolutely. Now, me and my dad's, honest opinion when it comes to the MVP is that I think CMC should get it. CMC has, he's leading the league in rushing yards. He's at 1,459. Okay, not 1,500. Not even that threshold. He's number 1 in carries at 272. He's 4th in touchdowns at 14. Number 1 is Mostert, I believe, in rushing. And then you go to his MVP season in 2009, his AP Offensive Player of the Year, which he probably should have been MVP, but then Lamar showed up. He had 1,387, so he has more rushing touchdowns this year. But the thing about that year was he also caught 1,005 yards, on 116 catches. This year, he has 67 catches for 564 and 7 touchdowns. He caught 14. He was 15 touchdowns rushing, and then receiving, he caught 4 in his 2017 season. Okay, so he has 3 more touchdowns this year. All right. But even with CMC, which has, a total of 2,000 yards from scrimmage, which is pretty impressive, it's still not crazy. And then you say, oh, but what about Brock Purdy? And you go to Brock Purdy, and he's second in yards to Tua. He's second in yards to Tua at 4,280. So he's not even at 4,500. He's 31 touchdowns, at second in the league. We've had seasons with 54, 51, 48, 47. To be second in the league, you're at 31 touchdowns, 11 picks. His QBR is number 1, 72.7. But even his MVP case kind of dies down too. 1,480, 9.6 a completion or an attempt. He has 11 picks. And then rushing, not 144 that's nothing. So there's not really much there, personally. So I think that they should make a Tom Brady award. They should make a Tom Brady award. They should make an award just for quarterbacks. It's oh, you're the best quarterback? Well, here you go. This is your recognition. But MVP, that honor that is distinguished amongst all. And, you've had Adrian Peterson win it. You've had LaDainian Tomlinson win it. MVP and the Hall of Fame kind of nod that it gives you. If you have an MVP, you are a very high candidate for the Hall of Fame if unless your career went absolutely south after it. I think it's very interesting to look at. I think that if let's say it's a Mahomes season, Mahomes 2019. Was it 2019? His second season? Or was it 2018? It might have been 2017. That's when the Patriots, I believe, won, or the Eagles won over the Patriots. And that the crazy AFC Championship game when it was Gronk and Edelman 3rd and 10 in overtime, and then Sony Michel ran the ball in. So that MVP season where he had, I believe, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 something yards, broke the record for yards. So that is an MVP and a Tom Brady Award recipient because he went above and beyond what it means to be just a quarterback. You get what I'm saying? But other years, like the Cooper Kupp Triple Crown year, come on, bro. Triple Crown in receiving? That's insane, bro. That's absolutely insane. That deserves an MVP. You know, when something is that is rare, seldom done, or rarely done. CMC's year. Yeah, it was Lamar, but he went 1,000 and 1,000 in rushing and receiving. That's incredible. Over 100 catches as a receiver, over 200 carries as a rusher. Like, that is peak efficiency, peak production out of a non-QB position. So, you know, I'm just saying, you know, me and my dad have been chatting about it. We think that they should make a Tom Brady Award. So you can have a Tom Brady Award. You can have your MVP, which should be like an MVP regardless of position. It could be a defensive guy. It could be an Aaron Donald type year. It could be a TJ Watt type year, you know, and he deserves the MVP. And then you could also have your AP Offensive Player of the Year. And if you want, you can have your AP Defensive Player of the Year. But I think that they should have a Cy Young type of award, a Tom Brady award. Because, you know, to win a Cy Young and to win an MVP, only the greats do that. The Pedros, the Randys, the Roger Clemens, you know, only greats do that. Ohtani has half of it. He has 2 MVPs. He needs the Cy Young. He's come close. But, you know, I believe that would be fair because 15 years of quarterback play, especially when you come to a year where who is really stepping up to the plate and being that guy, that 40-plus touchdown dude. And then Pat McAfee today says something very interesting. I hadn't looked at it, but he said Josh Allen. And the thing is, with Josh Allen, the problem is that the wins aren't there. Like, you got to be one of the best teams in the NFL to win the MVP. And, like, they started off slow, and they've had problems. But, you know, he's not at 4,000 yards. He will get there because he needs less than, 75 to get there, and he'll play on Sunday against us. He's 7th in yards. He's tied for 7th in touchdowns with 27. So Baker Mayfield rookie season, 16 interceptions. He's 3rd in QBR. And then, of course, you got to look at his rushing, right? Because he's a monster. So in rushing, he has 457 and 15 touchdowns rushing. Now you're talking. Because in 27 plus 15, talking about 40 plus touchdowns accounted for. Now I can understand, but then the team success is not there. The team success is not there. And then the last guy we got to talk about, of course, is Tyreek. Because even though he became the first receiver in history to have multiple seasons of 1,700 plus yards, he's tied for 2nd in receptions. He's at 112. He's had a more prolific season than that. He has 12 touchdowns. He's 2nd. He's 15.3 a catch. That's 45th. Okay, let's look at his season last year. 7 yards less, but 7 receptions more. So 119 to 112. Although this can go up because he's playing on Sunday. So the yards will go up and maybe the touchdowns go up. He's at 12 touchdowns. He had 7 last year. This is by far his most prolific year of his career by 7 yards, and he'll make it more. But he should have tried for a 2,000. And I know he's dependent on Tua, and that makes sense. He is dependent on Tua. But at the same time, you're this guy. That's what you instill in defenses. So I would expect that, with McDaniel's genius and Tua's timing and stuff like that, that you would have somehow manufactured at least either more touchdowns in the red zone. Granted, you dropped one last week, so I gotta give you on that one. You can't do that. That's not good. But also, you gave me 65 yards when you got your ankle hurt. And then you also gave me no yards in the game that you sat out that Jalen Waddle went nuts. So, that were your two opportunities there. And then you got 99 yards in a game that you should have had 130. So if we're looking at just, receiving, he's nuts this year. But like we're talking about a prolific season to try to get, MVP, and he doesn't even have the record. The record's 1974, Calvin Johnson, and he didn't even get the MVP. So, he should have gone for 2,000. He should have tried. I mean, I know he did. Maybe he gets to 18. Let's say he goes nuts against the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk about it when we break him down. Let's say he goes nuts, and he goes for 150 plus. So 1817, so 1860 something. Even with that, he doesn't get to 1900. Can he break his own reception record? Yeah, I believe so. He needs 7 catches. He'll have at least 12 targets in that game. I think Tua's going to force feed him because, Jalen is pushing the play, but at the same time, I think Tyreek wants to set a statement before the playoffs, and understandably so. But when I look at that, it's interesting when it comes to the MVP. I think Lamar has it. I think Lamar has played himself into the MVP. And that's his numbers, 24 and 7. That's what we're rolling with for the MVP, and 3,100 yards, or 3,400 yards passing, and not even close to 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. I think he's 200 short. Or 150 short. And like I said, he's not playing. They already announced that he's not playing. So to me, it's just a contentious topic. It's a contentious topic. People are going to, bash it all they want, but it's going to come down to the playoffs. And, if Mahomes beats him, or Josh Allen or Tua, then, shit's going to go around. But 821, 368, 841, over 4,000 yards from scrimmage. A total of 24 plus 5, 29 touchdowns. It's a tough debate. Now, moving on to the NBA. Okay. One thing about football before we get into the NBA, because I'm gonna get back to this. A lot of my picks this week is gonna be weird. If I go bad this week, is because almost everyone's playing, if not playing for a playoff spot or a seed or a division, they're playing their backup quarterbacks, and we're talking about at least 8 backup quarterbacks. So if my picks are off this week, don't do that to me, okay? Because picking games is not easy. I've done a pretty good job, not to toot my own horn, but I'm positive this year on both sides, in college and in NFL. So I think I've done pretty well. So you cut me some slack on this last week if it goes bad. All right. Looking at the standings, we're going to go a little overview here. You know what I'm saying? Just a little overview, talk a little bit about MVP at this stage of the season, now that we're in a new year. Heading towards All-Star break and stuff like that. Boston, 16-7, still number 1, 2.5 games up on the Bucks. They're 8-2 in the last 10, so they're still rolling nice and smooth. Milwaukee is 7-3 in their last 10, lost 2 in a row. They're 2.5 games back. Philadelphia is 7-3 on their last 10. Miami, we just beat. We're 6-4 in our last 10. We just beat the Lakers in their house, fully healthy. I don't want to hear nothing about LeBron or no. You lost. Plain and simple. You were healthy. LeBron, AD, Vanderbilt, Austin Reeves, whoever you want to say that you needed to be on the floor, everybody was there, and you still took an L. Okay? Hold that. I don't want to hear about it. And that puts you under 500 because you were at 500. Okay, so brand new coming in, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle, and Xavier Howard did not practice for the second straight day. And then Tyreek with the fire as well. Devon Achane said he's good to go. And then Robert Hunt, our guard, said he's hopeful to play. All right, so we don't know about Jalen. We don't know about Xavier. I heard that they were both pushing to play. I heard that Jalen was definitely pushing to play. So we'll see what happened there. Indiana has won 5 straight. They look like they're back on their high horse after a little skid after the in-season tournament. They're 19-14, 7 games back of number 1. They're 5th. Hallie's playing great. Their offensive rating is still incredible. They're still giving up a bunch of points, but they're winning enough. They've won 5 straight, so they're on a heater. Orlando has fallen a little bit. They've lost 3 straight. It's been tough, though. It's been tough. Last second loss yesterday. Paolo, career high 43. He's playing like he's going to be a superstar. I thought that he was going to be a superstar when he got drafted number 1 last year and when he won the Rookie of the Year. But at the same time, you never know how they're going to develop, especially in a team like that has known failure for so long and is very young. But he's taking the reins, him and Franz, and really shored up that Orlando rotation for many, many, many years to come. Cleveland still 7th, so still there. 6-4 in their last 10. Orlando's 3-7 in their last 10. That's tough. New York Knicks, the OG trade, all that went down. Supposedly they got fleeced, and Gilbert Arenas said, like, how did you get better? And like I said, the biggest opportunity cost in that trade was Emmanuel Quickley. It was Emmanuel Quickley. Like, if I'm being honest with you guys, Emmanuel Quickley was the scary part of that trade for the Knicks. And a little bit for the Raptors, because RJ Barrett in NBA circles, clown. Picked 3rd overall. He hasn't done anything. Now he's back home though. So maybe he can cook. But so far it's been a whole lot of that. In New York after getting picked 3rd overall, another draft mistake by New York. We've seldom see those happen. Shout out Stephen A. But can they do anything? They've won their last 2. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I just, they want to unlock DiVincenzo more, do more of the Villanova offense with him, Josh Hart, and Brunson. Brunson's taking the majority of the scoring load. Randall, you don't know what you're going to get from him from game to game. He's been playing well. He's been shooting well. But then when the slump starts, what happens? Mitchell Robinson's not back on the floor yet. So we'll see what happens. By the way, Philadelphia got Embiid back. Dropped a 30 ball. Nothing new. Brooklyn is 9. Every time I see Brooklyn, it's a tough. They've lost 5 straight, 2-8 in their last 10. Like, they're slumping. It's a tough watch because, I like Mikal Bridges, I like Cam Thomas, I like Cameron Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith and Claxton, Dinwiddie. But, sometimes the scoring is putrid, inefficient, bad shot selection, running down the clock, just bouncing the ball, no movement. And that's why I see them lose sometimes when they should be winning more, to if I'm being honest. And then Atlanta 10, trudging water. And when I mean trudging water, it's basically like it's always been. It's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know what happened to AJ Griffin. Is he in the G League, or is he just racking up DMPs? Jalen Johnson's playing well. He dropped 28, career high yesterday. But they're 5-5 in their last 10. This is a 14-19 team with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, and Bogey shooting the shit out of the ball. It's just disappointing. But as a basketball fan, what I like about the overall landscape of basketball right now is that anybody can beat anybody, unless you're the Detroit, San Antonio, or Portland. And everything is kind of still tight. Now, if we look at the East and we consider tight, we are something like 30 something, 32, 33 games in, 34. And 2.5 for Milwaukee. Still got a long season. Philadelphia, number 3, 3 games back. Still, and then Miami 6.5. That's a little bit more of a mountain there. You get to Orlando at 6. They're 7.5. Still doable, but then you get to the 9th seed and it's 12 games. We got 3 people at 7.5. Or we have Cleveland, New York, Orlando at 7.5, and then we have Indiana at 5 at 7 back, and then Brooklyn's 12, and then Atlanta's 12, and Chicago in 11 is 12.5. Then you got Toronto, which they've won 2 in a row since the trade, but they're so far behind that they just got to keep winning. Their lineups are still kind of wonky. Still got to find a place for RJ. Emmanuel quickly has to take a little bit more of a scoring responsibility, so it's not just Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam when it comes to scoring. We'll see how their defense is affected from the OG Anunoby trade. Charlotte has they're 8-24, guys. Like, they have no LaMelo. It's sad over there. It's Miles Bridges and friends. Brandon Miller, I believe, is a little hurt. I haven't seen him play the last 2 games, excuse me. You got Washington. Washington's hilarious to watch, guys. Because, they stay in a game and then completely piss it away. And they lose by 15. It's hilarious, to be honest. It's hilarious that Kuz and Poole haven't been able to, figure it out with Kispert and Advia. And then Detroit lost again yesterday, 3-31. 1-9 in their last 10, of course. They only have 1 win in their last 2 months. So the East is a little bit packed at the top, but then we get to the West and this thing is packed. 1 through 6 or 7, you're talking about 5 games. And then you're talking about from 1 to 4 is 3 games, and from 1 to 3 is 1 game. Minnesota 24-9, OKC 23-10, Denver 24-11. It's 6-4 for the Minnesota Timberwolves in their last 10, 8-2 for OKC, they lost yesterday, and then 8-2 for Denver, and they won their last game. Then you got the Clippers still playing well. They're 8-2 in their last 10 on a 4-game winning streak. They're only 3 games back. Sacramento's playing well. They're 20-13. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're 4 games back. New Orleans is 4 games back after we saw them 6 games back, I don't know, a week ago. 21-14. They've won 4 in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Kyrie came back for Dallas, and they're 4-6 in their last 10, including 2 games with Kyrie. So I don't know what's going on there. And Kyrie came off the bench, I believe, the last 2 games, which was weird. Then you have Houston. They're 6.5 games back. Guys, from 1 to 7 is 5 games. 5. With this much of the season left. That's tight. That's jumping around every other day. Houston 6.5 is not really, 6.5 is what, 1 from 4 is. Miami 6.5 games back of Boston. You're talking about, the Rockets are 8th and they're 6.5 games back of number 1 Minnesota. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Phoenix is 9. They're 6.5 games back. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Talk about the Lakers. Still 10. 17-18. 8 games back. 2-8 in their last losing streak of 3. 2-8 in their last 10. And then Golden State were still 11. 16-17. 8 games back. And we're 6-4 in our last 10. Then you have 1 game back, Utah. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and they've won 3 in a row with Keontae George. They started Chris Dunn yesterday with Colin Sexton. I don't know what they're doing with their rotations. Every time I look at their rotations, I laugh at them. Because I think it should be Keontae, Laurie. If you want another shooter out there, and you want a little bigger shooter, I mean, you could put Clarkson, but he's great off the bench as a 6-man. But I think you got to give Keontae George and at least Ochai Agbaji a little bit more runway. I know I've been harping on this all year, guys, but I really like those two, especially Keontae George. Like, I feel like he has some star potential in him. I just hope that they know how to use him more. And hopefully, he locks up that starting point guard spot. Then you have Memphis. They're 13.5 games. I think it's over. I think I'm going to call it right now. They're 5-5 in their last 10, even with Ja. They're getting outscored by 6.5. I think that just not having Steven Adams and not having Brandon Clark there, just the interior defense is lacking with just Triple J there, and then non-Triple J minutes. You have Xavier Tillman in there, like 6'9", and he's not like a Bam 6'9", which is long and athletic. Like, he's slow, So I think Memphis is. From 10 to Memphis, we're already talking about 5.5 games. Like, it's tough. It's tough. Like, even if they just want to play in. Portland, they're 3-7 in their last 10. They're just losing, guys. I mean, at this point, they're just losing. They can't make shots. I would like for them to kind of just say, screw it, and let's build out the core and find out who's leaving, who's staying. Whether that is Shaedon Sharpe, whether that is Anthony, who is staying with Scoot long term. I believe you can keep all 3, but I think that this is the type of team that get aggressive and try to move one of them as a young star, get a trade package with picks. But overall, I think that they should just decide to go young and, just play the young guys as much as possible. Still play Jeremy Grant, still showcase him, still showcase Malcolm Brogdon. But you got to play the young guys, man. You got to see what you got in those 3. And then San Antonio, 5 wins on the year. Lost 3 straight, 2-8 in their last 10. Am I seeing more Wemby? Am I applauding the Wemby usage over the last few games? Yes. And no. Why? This is very simple. This is very simple. When you are a losing team, when you're not playing for anything, and you are not, as a coach, I need to see the best talent that I have on the floor. Same thing for Portland. I need to see the best talent that I have on the floor because we have decisions to make in the offseason. We're already not playing for the postseason. We're laughing at the postseason. We're not making it, not even the play-in. Okay? So I look at my players and I'm like, okay, I got a number 1 pick from this year. I would just say, fuck it. Let him play 35 minutes. Now, his length and the body, I understand that they sit him down and he has short stints. Like, I'm like 5 minutes left in the first quarter and he's out of the game. I'm just like, okay. But then I'm like 4 minutes in the third and he's out of the game. I'm like, okay, so he's not closing the third. And then I'm like, okay, 6 minutes into the fourth, oh, here comes Wemby. And by the time he tries to get shots up and tries to bring you back into the game, you're either blown out or, too much, too far away. And the attempts fall short. Let's try to get him. Let me see how many minutes he's playing on average. If he's under 30 minutes, I'm going to be pissed. If he is under 30 minutes, I'm going to be pissed. Because it shouldn't be like that. At all. Let's see here. Minutes. 29.4. All right, let's bump that up to 32. By the end of the season, he should be playing anywhere from 32 to 34 minutes. As a number one pick on a losing team, you gotta, his field goal, he's 44% from field goal, just overall field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, he's at 29.4. He can shoot it, but he'll miss most of the time. He's at 78.4 from the line, which is good. Really good. He's averaging 10 boards. 2.9 assists. We could get better on that throughout the years. 3 blocks as a rookie. 18.9 points. Good averages, but you could be doing more. And it's not his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault. But what I'm saying is maybe he should take a little ownership and tell Keldon Johnson or tell Sohan or whoever's on the floor, even Devin Vassell, give me the ball. Get out of the way. I'm 7'4". I got guard skills. I could shoot like Kevin Durant. I could get in the paint in a step and be at the rim with my fingertips that nobody can contest. Give me the ball. Let me go out here and score a couple 30 balls, and let's see if we can actually win some games. Because in the upcoming draft, what do you got? I don't know, Bronny James? You want to bring Bronny James just to try to get LeBron? So Bronny, and Wemby? I get it, but at the same time, I don't think Pop has enough patience for that. So, personally, I think that they should just give Wemby the reins and, Pop let go of whatever experiment he has with Sohan. Start Trey Jones at point guard and just see what happens. Let's move on to NCAA. Let's break down this game. This game is for all the marbles, as we all know. This is the championship. This is the national championship of college football, and we have two different philosophies as teams. We have a defensive juggernaut with a defensive line rotation that's the best in the country, and probably the best defense in the country, facing an absolute nuclear weapon package offense, aggressiveness, take shots. We believe that our guys are better than yours, and we're moving the ball down the field 2-3 plays, touchdown. So it's a fight and a match between two completely, I would say, kind of paradoxical styles, like they're complete opposites of each other. Now, you can say Braylon Trice on the Washington Huskies line, he'll be a first-round pick for sure. But everybody else, they're healthy, but it's not a Michigan type of defense where, they've proven, stopped Alabama, stopped Ohio State, And then for Washington, it's like, have you met a offensive line as good as Michigan's? Because on the offensive side of the ball, they're also paradoxical. They're also very opposite. One's smash mouth. We're going to run the ball 70% of the time with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, and we're just running, opening seams. And whenever J.J. McCarthy needs to make a little play here, we'll throw it to Roman Wilson. We'll throw it to Cornelius Johnson. We'll throw it to Loveland. But we're not the over-the-top offense because we don't have a Roma Dunze. We don't have a Jalen Polk. We don't have a Jalen McMillan. Now, I don't know, it still hasn't come out nothing about Dylan Johnson. The news has been kind of up and down on him. He's expected to play. All right. Came out today, I believe. He's expected to play with a leg injury. All right, so they have their horse. The Washington has their horse in the running game. Now, can they run the ball? They couldn't run the ball against Texas, which was, to my criticism, when they got into the red zone, which you're supposed to put absolute fear in a team, especially Texas, to try to put them away and not have them come back at you the way that they did. No, you run the ball knowing that you couldn't run the ball. That's not what you do, okay? You still use Michael Penix and that passing game and formations and motions to get your guys open, get your one-on-ones, and go ham, okay? You have a quarterback to do so, and you have 3 NFL receivers to do so. And that's what I expect from this game. And I haven't given you my pick yet because just like the Buffalo Bills and Dolphins game, like I'm still deliberating on what I believe will happen. But if I'm being honest, I still don't think that there's a secondary in the country that could cover these 3 receivers for more than 3 seconds. And the fact that Michael has not been sacked more than 12 times this year, 11 coming into the semifinal, and this is, this got awarded the best offensive line in the country. It kind of makes me want to lean towards Washington on the offensive side of the ball because, as I said, Texas, even though Texas had a 94th ranked passing defense, and that's not what Michigan is, definitely not, much higher. These receivers are monsters. These are all NFL receivers. There is nobody on that secondary that, Will Johnson against Rome Odunze. That's going to be the matchup. Can Rome get by him? Can Rome catch a ball over him? Can Will deal with Rome? Sanders still against Polk or McMillan. And will Michigan lighten the box? Basically daring Washington to saying, hey, we're not going to let you get anything over the top. I'm going to laugh at your offensive line because we think you can't run. And, I don't know if Washington will play into that because that defensive line for Michigan is the real deal with Graham and all those studs up front, especially in the interior. But I'm leaning Washington. Although, on the other side, let's look at the Michigan offense. What did Texas do well against Washington? Run the ball. What does Michigan love to do? Run the ball. So it's going to come down to the trenches and the back end. And that sounds like, but that's just football. No, guys, I'm talking about for real. The difference in this game, besides turnovers, which are the ultimate factor of who wins and loses football games, is who can dominate who. D-line against that Washington O-line and that Washington D-line versus that Michigan O-line, and then that back end for Michigan against these Washington receivers. Now, if we talk about quarterbacks, I think Michael Penix is the better quarterback in the matchup. But within their schemes, J.J. McCarthy plays it great. He's under poise. He has, elite traits when it comes to athleticism and speed. Has a good arm. But are there going to be those shots from Michigan? This is a hardball team. They're going to do trick plays. They're going to pull something out of their bag. This is an NFL defensive scheme and kind of an NFL-ish type of offense because it's hardball. But at the same time, I think I'm going Washington here. Do I feel like this about it? A little bit. Because Michigan is the number 1 team in the country. And they have dominated people. And Washington has been in nothing but shootouts and fourth quarter comebacks. But there's something about Michael Penix not getting the Heisman. There's something about nobody putting respect on the Huskies, and they're 14-0. Pac-12 champs, beat Oregon twice. Cleaned out everybody in their schedule, and did it in high-flying, explosive fashion. And when we look at the quarterbacks, I think Michael Penix has the ability to bring back his team. I'm going to shout out Colin. Kyle heard here. Shout out Colin. He said, Michigan is not built to come back from 10 points in the fourth quarter. But Washington has the offense and the explosivity and the dynamism. They're dynamic enough on the outside to hit you for 2 plays and it's a touchdown. Hit you for 1 play and it's a touchdown. 4 plays, it's a touchdown. Quick strikes. Doesn't matter where they are on the field because they're taking them. That's how they move the ball. So I think the win condition for Washington is kind of easier because of those 3 monsters on the outside and Penix and the offensive line, how they've performed throughout the year. I don't expect it to be as bad as a performance as Alabama put up against Michigan. I don't think that Penix will get sacked a lot. That's just my personal opinion. And if Penix doesn't get sacked a lot and you don't go get him, you don't go touch him, Odunze will get open, McMillan will get open, and Polk will get open. If not, Jackson will get open. Bernard will get open. These are the freshmen. And Washington has the propensity to score a lot, score quick, and have a defensive pass rush with Braylon Trice and Mohammed on the outside. Roman Wilson's the only guy. I mean, Cornelius Johnson has some speed and some ability, but they don't use him as much. Loveland's going to be the big X factor. I think they're going to throw to the tight end a lot, just like they did to Jatavion Sanders. Texas did this past game. But I think that overall, when you look at just the offensive weaponry, how they've done it throughout the year, and just the path that they've gone through, I think I'm going Washington. However, you're like, oh, you must be scared. No. Whichever team wins, I'm happy for either. If Harbaugh gets his national championship and moves on to the Chargers, I'll be happy with that. And if Kalen DeBoer, cements himself as one of the greatest Washington Husky head coaches of all time, Michael Penix is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever come out of the program, and those receivers and that team becomes, engraved in the annals of history as one of the greatest, teams ever assembled when it comes to the offensive side of the ball and throwing. I'd be also very happy because then Michael Penix will get his due in the draft. Because before that semifinals game, they weren't even looking at him as a first rounder. I guess be real, people don't watch Washington football. But then the throws that he did in the Sugar Bowl really cemented like, oh, this guy's a Sunday guy. And I've seen some breakdowns of his film and stuff like that, but like they break down film of like week 4, week 7. How about you break down film of like semifinal, Pac-12 championship? The game against the Cougars when he brought them back in the rain. How about you do that? I think that's a better way of evaluating. Yeah, you have to evaluate every game, but a guy can get better throughout the season. So I don't think picking a game from week 4, oh, the guy can't process. Oh, he's waiting a little bit too long. He's holding it a little bit too long. He should throw it right when his receiver gets to the break. Let him settle in. Now, all this changes if, Penix goes out there and throws for another 400-plus yard game and let's say 2-3 touchdowns and no picks against Michigan and wins the national championship. He will be on top of draft boards. He won't be above Caleb. I don't think he'll be above Drake May just because of the generation, the genetic talent and the Josh Allen esque type of body, and he's still younger than Michael, but he'll be third on that list. Right there with JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels. Him and Jaden Daniels are going to be a conversation come draft time. And it's going to be on testing at the combine. And are you worried about his knees? Are you worried about the shoulder? Are you worried about the injuries? That he's older? But I think we've learned from Brock Purdy that an older quarterback is not necessarily a bad thing. A guy that with experience is not necessarily a bad thing. JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, they're all transfers. JJ, I don't think so. JJ, I think, went to Michigan from his freshman year. But Jaden from Arizona State, you got Penix from Indiana, Bo Nix from Auburn. They're all transfers. They're all people that have had multiple years to, sharpen the quarterback mind and the skills. The technique. So it's going to be an interesting draft. So I'm going to go Washington. I believe Michigan has the edge when it comes to defensive front. Washington has the advantage when it comes to wide receiving core. Washington has the advantage when it comes to quarterback. And I cannot decide whether Washington has the advantage or Michigan has the advantage on offensive line. Because the Washington offensive line got the award, but the offensive line for without Minter, without Zinter or Minter, their best offensive lineman, the All-American that got hurt against Ohio State. Even without him, that's a hell of an offensive line. Big Ten, Pac-12, it's a Big Ten matchup next year. So this is just a preview. But I think that overall, when I look at the total landscape of the game and what can happen, this is not going to be a last year type of deal. This is not going to be a 60-something point blowout. This is going to come down to the fourth quarter, and it's either going to be Washington with the lead heading into the fourth quarter and closing it out, or Michigan with the lead into the fourth quarter and Washington with the ability to come back and win it in the end. But I'm going to go Washington. I love Michigan. I love both of these teams. I'm so proud of them for making it this far. And may the best team win, and go Huskies. And I love the Wolverines. Go Blue as well. I just want a great game. I just want an absolute classic, something that we can talk about for 25 years on both sides. But I believe that Washington will get it done. Moving on to the NFL and the last picks of the season. Week 18 of this season. We've seen a lot. Now we're going to see a lot of, I don't know. Because starting with the first game, Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. Now, if this was a normal week, Lamar would be playing. He's not. He's not playing. It's Huntley. Like I said, these picks are going to be tough. So don't hold it against me if I get them wrong. I believe Mason Rudolph is starting. Pittsburgh has to win this game in order to have a chance at the playoffs. So everybody's going to play for Pittsburgh. I don't know how many people are playing for Baltimore. I don't know how many people are going to play. Lamar ain't playing. I don't know if Zay's going to play. I think they might be sitting everybody out. So, honestly, I'm going to go with the Ravens because they're at home. But if Mason Rudolph comes out slinging and it works against this number one defense, not total defense, that's Cleveland, but also in the AFC North. But, this very, very good top 5 defense that I think everybody's playing when it comes to the defensive side, I'm going with Baltimore. I just think they're the better team. Huntley versus Rudolph. I mean, guys, come on. Like, what are we doing? Huntley versus Rudolph. Baltimore has nothing to play for. Literally, they're already locked up the number 1 seed. They're already in the playoffs. They already got home field advantage. I don't know. But I'm going Baltimore. The only thing I could see is the Steelers just going ham, TJ going ham, 3 sacks, them trying to throw the ball all over the place. They're not going to run the ball. I don't think you could run the ball against this front. I don't know if people are playing in the front. I don't know if Roquan's playing, Patrick Queen, Adebike. No idea. But if any of them are, I don't think Pittsburgh Steelers are running on this front. Let's get to a game where everybody is playing, and we know. Texans Colts. So this is for a playoff spot, but could automatically be for the AFC South crown division if the Jaguars lose to, I believe, the Tennessee Titans. In this game, I have the Texans. Very simple. CJ Stroud is playing. That's scary hours for anybody. It's in Indiana. At Lucas Oil. Pat's going to be there, in his booth, in his suite at field level. But I think CJ and Nico, and to some extent, Will Anderson, Devin Singletary, and Damian Pierce will have something to say. The Indianapolis defense is good. There is no Tank Dell. They're on the road. But I believe CJ's built for it. I think CJ's the better quarterback in this situation. So I'm going to go Texans. I'm going to go Texans in a close one. This is going to be a close game. But I'm going to go Texans in this one. I just think Gardner Minshew has a propensity to go for a dud when you need him most. And this just smells like, to me, against the rookie phenom. And CJ's going to be hungry to keep, cementing that rookie of the year even after his injury. And want to, give a shot to go to the playoffs in his first year to the Texans after winning 2 games last year. So I'm going with the Texans. Let me write these down too. I usually write down my picks so then we know our record for the week. We went 11-5 last week, so shout out to us. Pretty good, I would say. So we're going Ravens, Texans, and Seahawks Cardinals. Cardinals, I believe they're playing everybody. They're not playing for anything, but I believe they're playing everybody just to try to embarrass or, do something. I think everybody's playing in this game. I think everybody's playing in Seattle. They're still in the playoff hunt, I believe. Let me check right quick. In the standings, I believe they're still in the playoff hunt. Yeah, they can still get a wild card spot with a win, and I believe some other things happening, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're the 8th seed right now. I think Green Bay has the win and get in scenario. So if Green Bay loses and Seattle wins, they get in. And then New Orleans needs both Green Bay and Seattle to lose, and they win, and I believe they get in. Wow. That's a lot. That is a lot of things to happen for them to get in, but they have to win. I believe they will. On the road, I believe Gino, DK, Tyler, JSN, Kenneth Walker go in there and find a way to win. They want to go to the playoffs. They did it last year. And I don't think they want to be beat by a 4-12 Cardinals team and keep themselves out of the playoffs. I don't think that's what they want. So I'm going to go Seahawks here. I think Kyler plays well, but I think that Seahawks defense keeps them in check to some extent. Devin Witherspoon and Rick Woolen and Quandre Diggs and Bobby Wagner keeps that offense in check. And I'm going to go Seahawks. Rams, 49ers. 49ers ain't playing nobody. Well, guess what? The Rams aren't playing anyone either. I believe Puka will play for a couple snaps trying to get those, I believe, 14 yards or 29 yards to break the rookie receiving record for yards. This is another toss-up, guys. And if I'm being honest, Wentz versus Darnold. Wow. Carson Wentz, Sam Darnold. Whew. All right. I'm going to go 49ers. I'm going to go 49ers. They just have the better team overall. Christian McCaffrey ain't playing. Brock Purdy ain't playing. I don't know if Ayuk is going to play. He got snubbed from the Pro Bowl. We'll talk about that next week, about the Pro Bowl snubs and who made it, who didn't. Doesn't matter. Is it as important as All-Star games in the MLB or in the NBA, or, you know, is everybody just looking at all pros? We'll discuss all that next week. So overall, I'm going to go San Francisco. They're at home. I don't see why they would lose. I think the scheme fits Sam Darnold's MO. Throw into Elijah Mitchell. You know, he's still got Jawan Jennings probably playing. I don't know if Kittle will play. Probably not. But I'm going with San Francisco. They're at home. It's a toss-up, but Sam Darnold versus Carson Wentz, I'm going Sam Darnold. And Kyle Shanahan and that defense. Next, we are going... write down the Seahawks here. Next, and then we're going 49ers. Next, we're going Bills, Dolphins. This is the ultimate game. This is the last game of the season. I'm just reading out the games, how they are listed on ESPN. Like I said, Jalen is pushing to play. Xavier, I believe, is pushing to play. Raheem is pushing to play. So is Hunt. Everybody's playing this game. Everybody except Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. We don't know about Xavier Howard yet. Bills are favored to win 54% to 45%. It's at night. It's in Miami. It's going to be kind of humid, probably a little cold maybe. Let me see. The forecast is 69. Ayo. Ayo. That's what the forecast is supposed to be. But, all right, guys, this is going to be very simple. Can Tyreek and Jalen get loose enough? And can we cover Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid? Oh, and stop James Cook running. I still haven't decided who I'm going to pick this game, and I'm going to pick it right here with you guys. Okay, I'm going to pick it right here with you guys. We're already in the playoffs, the Miami Dolphins. So desperation-wise, even though this is for the division, so the desperation should be at an all-time high for both teams. But for Buffalo, if they lose, they could be out of the playoffs entirely. They either win the division or out of the playoffs entirely based on what happens around them. So if we're talking about who's more desperate for a win, and they've won 4 straight, is Buffalo. Now, who really wants that home game? And possibly if Baltimore slips up and loses in the divisional round, who wants home field advantage for the AFC Championship is Miami. Now, we do have to take into consideration the injuries, and I definitely realize that. The injuries are tough. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard. The offensive line is a little banged up. But when I look at coaching, game planning, and overall, possibility to execute without making mistakes, even though both of these teams make mistakes, but the precision drived team are the Dolphins. The hero ball driven team is the Bills. I'm going to say Dolphins win this game. And it's going to be close. Okay? It's going to be close. This might be nail biter to the last play of the game. Just like it was last year with the Raiders and Chargers. I'm going to go Dolphins. I'm thinking Jalen Waddle plays. I'm thinking Raheem Mostert plays. I'm thinking Robert Hunt plays. And Xavier plays. We're susceptible to absolutely everything. We're susceptible to the run if James Cook gets cooking. We're susceptible to the run with Josh Allen. We're susceptible to the pass with Stephon Diggs, even though he hasn't gone crazy the last few weeks. It was Dalton Kincaid. Gabe Davis could rear his ugly head. Khalil Shakir. But if we look on the other side, they're susceptible to Reek. They're susceptible to Jalen Waddle. They're susceptible to, Raheem and Devon. So I'm a homer. I believe we really have a good team. This would be a statement win and a great way to get into the playoffs with some confidence, especially with the winning of the division. So I'm going to go contrary to what popular belief is. I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. I might swallow it Monday morning, but I'm going to roll with the home team. The team that has shown me more this year. I do understand the threat of the Buffalo Bills. But overall, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I'm going to go with the explosion of Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Tua. Tua can get close to 5,000 yards. He's leading the league in yards. I think he's at 4,000. Let me see. I'll tell you right now, actually. Tua is at 4,451. So let's say he adds let's say he goes miraculous. Let's go 400 yards. 4,851. Raheem is at 1,012. He can add 100 to that. Tyreek can get to 1,800 if he really tries. Jalen has 3 interceptions. Ooh, Tua's at 69.6 completion percentage. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Absolutely no shame in it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is. I've been wrong before, but I'm the homer. I think Tyreek is too much for that defense. I think Jalen Waddle's too much for that defense. I think we're going to get some creases in the run game. McDaniel's going to scheme them up. And I give the coaching edge overall to the Dolphins with McDaniel and Fangio. Even though Fangio got kind of cooked last week by the Ravens. But who doesn't? Who doesn't get cooked by the Ravens? So I'm going to go Dolphins in to win the division and get the 2 seed. Next. Tank Bowl. Tampa Bay going to Carolina. Guys, Tampa Bay has the inside track to get into the playoffs with a win. That's all they need is a win against this team. I think Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield and Rashad White show up and Godwin shows up and win this game. If they don't, everything in the season was for nothing. Everything in the season was for nothing. The Baker Mayfield storyline, Mike Evans, still 1,000-yard receiver, all that was for absolutely nothing because you did not make it to the playoffs and shut everybody up about, oh, Brady's gone, they're going to be trash. All that's going to come true if you lose this game to Carolina. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I just believe they have the better team. Offensively, defensively, there should be no question who wins this game. Third quarter, this game shouldn't even be close. This shouldn't be close at halftime. If this is not at least 14, 17, 3, 21, 3, 21, 0 at halftime, we got a problem. Because you should destroy these people and head into your home game in Tampa Bay as a division champ. But still a lot of things to go down in the NFC South. Tank division itself. Tampa Bay on the road to beat the Panthers. Browns, Cincinnati. The Browns already have nothing to play for. They're in the 5th seed. Joe Flacco ain't playing. Amari's not playing. I think Jerome Ford has to play because all they have is him and Kareem and Pierre Strong. So one of them will start. I don't think they're worried about that. None of them is Nick Chubb. And for the Bengals, they're at 8-8. Can they make anything? Let's see. The Bengals cannot. They're eliminated. So what are we doing here? Is it DTR? Is that who we're playing? Is it DTR? Let's see. Jeff Driscoll is going to be the quarterback, former University of Florida Gator. Be the 5th starter this season. Trey Henderson tied with TJ Watts with the high of 17 sacks right now. Dustin Hopkins will miss. He can't kick right now. Elijah Moore still in the concussion protocol. Jamar Chase is recovering from a sprained shoulder. T. Higgins is questionable. Yeah. Browning versus... Damn. Wow. Whew. Okay. Jeff Driscoll versus Jake Browning. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals. They're at home. They have nothing to play for. Neither do the Browns. I don't see Jeff Driscoll outplaying Jake Browning. I don't know if that defense is playing at all. I don't know if Miles is going to play. I don't know if Denzel and Greg and, Delpit I don't think is back yet. So, Wusuko Ramoa, Za'Darius. So I'm going to say the Bengals. Now, if the Browns win, hey, shout out to them. But I just think that Jake Browning is better than Jeff Driscoll. I've seen Jeff Driscoll too much. I was in school when he was playing at University of Florida, and it was, to say, a disaster. And to say that every time we saw him drop back was a scary sight is an understatement, okay? So I'm going to go with the Bengals there. Vikings, Lions. Lions not playing for anything. They're already locked up into the playoffs. And they cannot get the 1 seed. The 1 seed is already claimed by San Francisco. So they're going to stick in the 2 seed. They can't move up or down. They already won the division. I believe Minnesota is eliminated. I'll check out right now, but Minnesota's still not eliminated. Minnesota needs Green Bay to lose. They win, and they also need, need a couple teams to lose in order to get in. But honestly, what are we doing here, guys? I mean, is Detroit playing? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know if they're playing. I don't know if they're playing any of their dudes. Hey, maybe they do play because, Amon-Ra got snubbed out of the Pro Bowl. which we'll talk about next week. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Detroit. I'm gonna give it to the Lions. They're at home. It's at Ford Field, so I'm gonna go with the Lions. I just don't think, I don't know who Minnesota thinks of putting out there, where it's Jaren Hall, Mullins. I mean, I love the receiving core, but I like the Lions a lot more at every other spot. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions. I'm gonna go with the Lions at home. I think that would be a good ending to a great season and heading to the playoffs for that home game. Next, Jets Patriots. The battle of the garbage. This is the garbage of the AFC East. It's in New England. 15-game winning streak over the Jets. Looking for their 8th straight sweep of New York in a season. Bailey Zappi versus, I don't know who. Not Tim Boyle. Trevor Siemian? Zach Wilson? Who's playing? I don't know. Who's playing quarterback? Let's look at this. Who's playing quarterback? Jets. Garrett Wilson has 93 catches for 1,008 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jets history with 1,000 more seasons in each of his first 2 seasons. Okay, damn, they haven't had anybody, even with Keyshawn, when Keyshawn was there. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. Bailey Zappi versus Zach Wilson. Actually, no, Zach Wilson is out with concussion protocol. So, Trevor Siemian is, I guess, what we're rolling with. Trevor Siemian. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying, honestly, I don't think that is going to get it done. So I'm going to go Patriots. The defense is going to be playing lights out. So I'm going to go Patriots against the Jets to complete the sweep of the season. Once again, for the 8th straight time. And I'm going to go with Bill Belichick, put one more win on the mantle before either he decides to leave or he gets a contract extension or he retires. Although we know that he doesn't want to retire, obviously. But, when we're thinking about overall picture of the season, I think that we're just looking at 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. That's what we're doing. They're horrible. Okay? Horrible. And to some extent, the Bills were like this most of the season. And then they, the last few weeks, they've really picked it up and gotten themselves in position to win the division and get into the playoffs. But the other, it has been a 2-team division all year, to be honest. I'm going to go with the Patriots at home. Another tank division matchup, Atlanta going to New Orleans. Now, New Orleans needs to win in order to get in. They need Green Bay to lose, and they need to win. And they need Tampa Bay to lose. In order to win the division, I believe, if Tampa Bay loses to Carolina, I believe the Saints with a win clinch the division. Weird in the NFC South. Like I said, tank division. Now, I think it's going to be Heineke versus Derek Carr. And for the last time this season, just because he's at home, I'm going to go Derek Carr. Okay, I'm going to go Saints. I believe in that defense more than the Atlanta defense. And Derek Carr will actually throw it to Chris Olave. Derek Carr will actually throw it to Juwan Johnson, Rashid Shaheed. AT Perry, give it to Alvin Kamara. So I'm going to go with the Saints at home. Although this is a scary pick because we don't know what's going to happen in the NFC South. This has been up and down all year. Nobody's been able to predict it. So we'll see what happens there. Jaguars, Titans. Jaguars with a win and in scenario for the NFC South to not give Indiana or the Texans a shot at the division. Trevor will play. Trevor will play. Travis will play. Calvin Ridley will play. I know that Tennessee wants to play spoiler. Mike Vrabel had, a very colorful exchange with a reporter today or yesterday, I believe it was today, that they put on the Pat McAfee show. That he says it sucks to lose. That's why they're gonna try on Sunday, and you want to win. But I think that the Jaguars want it too bad. Want that home game. Want that to clinch the division 2 years in a row. So I'm gonna go with the Jags. I just feel better about that team more than Tennessee Titans. Sorry, Tyler. My boy T-Tech, he's from Tennessee. He loves the Titans. I'm gonna go with the Jags. Could it be a scary sight? Yes. Something can go wrong. Somebody could get injured. T-Law gets injured. Calvin gets injured. Travis. I mean, anything can happen. But I'm going to go with the Jags. I feel more confident in the Jags pulling out a win on the road against Tennessee in order to win the division and get into the playoffs. Bears-Packers. Bears could play spoiler. Bears could play spoiler. Green Bay is chasing a postseason berth and by beating, the Bears by 10 straight games. Everybody's playing. Aaron Jones is playing. Everybody's playing. It's in Green Bay. It's in Lambeau. I'm going to go with the Packers. It's in Lambeau. Chicago going into Lambeau, although they've been playing well, I think that atmosphere will be electric. And I think that Jordan Love in his first season is going to be pumped up to get into the playoffs. And, having a chance to do that with just a win, I believe, will push that team forward. Now, if they go bad in the defense and, that Joe Barry defense is just giving up big plays to DJ Moore and big runs to Justin Fields and Khalil Herbert left and right. Hey, it's just more trade value for Justin Fields. And it looks more of a failure on Green Bay, and then changes will have to be made on that defense, whether player-wise or coordinator-wise, which I think that's what they should do. But I'm going to go Packers here. I think Jordan Love does too much. I like this Bears defense. I like how this receiving core, although young, has been molding out with Bo Melton and Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson. I don't know if he's still hurt. But I think with Aaron Jones healthy and everything like that, I think the Packers take this one and go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum. Chargers, Chiefs at SoFi. Chiefs locked up the division. They can't move up. They can't go into the 2 seed. They're stuck at the 3. I don't know if people are going to play, to be honest. I don't know if Matt Castle's playing, or even, I don't know if Matt Castle's not there. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to play. I don't know if Blaine Gabbert's going to be the one playing. I'm still going Chiefs just because the defense is better. And overall, I just think that the Chiefs will just pull it out, even though they're on the road against Easton Stick. So I'm going to go Chiefs. Do I feel particularly good about it? Not really, because I don't know who's starting right now, and it's not out as of now, I'm looking at the actual game preview right now. I don't think Mahomes plays. I don't think so, but he might. He might. Andy Reid loves playing his guys. But to risk injury and knowing that you can't go nowhere playoff wise or seeding wise, I don't think he should play, but it's possible that Andy Reid plays him anyway for a little bit of time even. But I'm gonna go with the Chiefs there against the Chargers. Broncos Raiders. This is another matchup that's kind of toss up ish. It's in the black hole. I think I'm gonna go Raiders here for the simple fact that it's in the black hole. They're just gonna force feed Devontae. No Russell Wilson, so I guess it's gonna be Jarrett Stidham one more time. I mean, these teams are both, I believe they're both eliminated. So I don't think that they're playing for anything. This is just kind of a game. Yeah, they're both eliminated. So this is just kind of a game for bragging rights. And I think Max Crosby tries to go for the number one sack, the sack leader in the league this year. I think so. He'll play. Aiden O'Connell plays. I don't think Josh Jacobs is good to play, but Devontae will play. And I just think that Las Vegas tries to, cement Antonio Pierce as the leading candidate for that job going into next year by winning for him at home. So I'm going to go with the Raiders. Shout out to Boomer. Back. Shout out to Boomer. So I'm going to go with the Raiders against Denver at home. Eagles Giants. Guys, if we are talking about the ultimate collapse, this would be the ultimate collapse. They have to win this game and then hope Cowboys lose in order to try to win the division. Everybody's playing in this game. There's nobody resting. People saying they're a one and done. Like I said, the defensive line has not played up to par this year, so they haven't been able to get the takeaways. They haven't been able to get the sacks, the pressure to force those takeaways and those bad plays by other teams offensively. And the offense hasn't been as explosive this year as they've been in years past, at least last year, especially going into the playoffs where they were basically unstoppable. So I'm going to go Eagles on the road here. I think that they just make quick work of the Giants. I don't see any reason why they should lose this game if they want to give themselves a shot at still winning the division, and giving themselves a shot at a home field at a home playoff game. But they kind of left their season out to dry when it comes to division because Dallas is facing the Commanders, so that's not really. It's not really a favorable matchup for you as the Philadelphia Eagles, hoping that the Commanders somehow upset the Dallas Cowboys for you to potentially win the division. But I'm going to go with the Eagles at the Giants. And then, the formal thing that we just said, Dallas versus Washington in Washington. I'm going to go Dallas, obviously. I'm not dumb. This is a dumpster fire. Everybody's gonna get fired. I don't know if Bieniemy is gonna get fired. I don't know if Bieniemy is getting promoted to head coach. I know that Rivera's fired. I think the team's name might be fired. Team's colors might be fired. I think this whole thing has been a giant joke from day one. I thought Sam Howell had some promise, but way too. I mean, the line. He's the most sacked quarterback in the league. The line is horrible. He can't get his weapons involved. The running game is non-existent. So I'm going to go Dallas. I don't think there's much left to be said here. Everybody's going to play. Dak's going to play. CD's going to try to go for another record-setting game to try to maybe maybe get close to Tyreek numbers-wise in the yards discussion. But yeah, I'm going to go Dallas here. I don't think it's much of a contest, if I'm being very honest with you guys. And those are my picks for the last NFL week, regular season week of the season. We will have all the playoff scenarios and games in the next pod. We'll break them down. We'll break down a Super Wildcard weekend. We'll break down the national championship. Like I said, I got Washington, but I will not be surprised if Michigan wins. I'll be happy for both teams. We'll start breaking down Pro Bowl. We'll start breaking down NBA MVP, which I believe right now is between Embiid, Shea, Embiid, Shea. You have to say a little bit of Tatum, although I don't want to because they're number one in the East. I would love to say Ant, but the averages are not there for him. If he keeps averaging 30, maybe he can bump up his average to like 28 and still stay number one in the West, and maybe he'll be considered. And then, of course, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic. I think those are cemented names there for MVP right now. Other than that, I appreciate all the support. I hope that you guys like that everything is clear. I hope you guys like this volume. The sound effects, I would be getting more in. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. God bless you guys. And I leave you with the outro.
El fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden